Wednesday night edition of West Virginia Mountaineers Live, part of the Voice of College Football Network, hosted, of course, by the Ryan and Rush Show. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel or the Ryan and Rush channel, please do so. But hey, Ryan, it was a good win over Duquesne this past week. It took a little lightning storm to get going. This is a great week with the Backyard Brawl. We also have another surprise guest on this show ahead. We will definitely get to the Backyard Brawl. We'll definitely get to our guests. Let's talk a little bit about. We'll talk about a little bit of the minor league Pittsburgh team that we played to warm up for this game ahead. What were your thoughts on the game this past Saturday, Ryan?
Glad the game got in, and because it took a little bit. It was a 2-hour delay. I also think that they were much better on the backside of the rain delay, the lightning delay, whatever delay you want to call it. Everybody knows the superstar, Hudson Clement, career day. 5 catches, 177 yards, 3 touchdowns. First guy since, Tavon Austin, Stedman Bailey. Anytime you're in the same discussion or same sentence as those guys, it's a pretty good day. So, but overall, pretty good after the delay. Slow start, came out a little tight. But, I mean, you look at it, 50 carries for 300-plus yards as a team. I like to see that. I'm an old school guy. Run the football till it doesn't work anymore. Jaheim White finally got to play. He popped 12 carries, 110 yards. So C.J. Donaldson, a little bit of a slow start, but, I mean, we know what we're getting with him. I'm not worried about him at all. Jalen Anderson, DJ Oliver, and, yeah, I mean, just everybody contributed a little bit. I honestly thought Garrett Green was pretty good after the delay. So that was the positives, and, get out of there mostly healthy, and we'll move on to that other school up north.
Tyler Evans here says, felt like all the games last week had delays. Yeah, whoever's controlling the weather for the government was hitting all the buttons across the country. All the advertisers wanted to make sure that they got all their money in. But, yeah, you brought up Hudson Clement, man. Congratulations on your scholarship, man. And we always talked about who's kind of going to be maybe this number 2, number 3 receiver. We knew we were going to need a breakout receiver. Devin Carter got a little banged up last week, I think last Wednesday's practice. Neil Brown said he didn't feel too good about playing him, which I agree. You don't need to kill yourselves if you're a number 1 to play against Duquesne. And that's nothing against Duquesne at all. It's just that's the difference usually between FBS and FCS. Of course, always respect and take your opponent seriously. But the result that came out is what should have been expected. Looking forward to getting Devin Carter back, of course, for the Backyard Brawl. Hopefully there's room in there for Clement as well. Excited to see him maybe pop off again. But no, you're right, Ryan. It kind of took. It's funny because sometimes you see that in sports, no matter the sport, you'll see like kind of it starts out at first, a little lackadaisical, kind of got to get refocused from the Penn State game. You want to take this opponent seriously, but you also know what the real game is the following week, and which is this week, the Backyard Brawl. But hey, the lightning storm hit, that lit lightning under the Mountaineers. I think we've all had those times in Little League. I remember we grew up together playing Little League, Ryan, right? And we'd sometimes have a storm or something, and the team would go gather in a building or something. And during those times, you have your team and you don't know when you're going back out on the field. And it's really a chance for the team to bond, kind of get to know each other. And I think that's what we saw. We saw kind of the culture. Everyone had each other's back, go out there, have a great day. And it was good to see the 56-17 final score. I'm glad it wasn't the 35-17 that our Duquesne guy that came on the Ryan and Rush show when we do the enemy behind enemy lines episode. I mean, hey, Duquesne got 17, so good for him guessing that right. But I'm really glad the Mountaineers got 56 as well. Ryan, from that game, because we need to talk about another game from that day, the team that we're playing this week in the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game. But what was one big takeaway that you got from the Duquesne game that you really think will propel the Mountaineers as we take on Pitt this week in the Backyard Brawl?
So the continuous of an identity of this football team, I kind of touched on it. Yeah, 600 yards total of offense, but 300 come from the ground, multiple backs contributing. I mean, anytime you can average more than 6 yards a carry as a team, that's good. I don't care who you're playing. That's what you're supposed to do. And those big guys up front, man, they're a handful. And we'll talk about Pitt and where Pitt can kind of be had. But Cincinnati was able to run the football as well on Pitt last weekend. And I think we're able to run the ball on anybody. We ran the ball on Penn State. So I expect to run the ball effectively again. We ran the ball last year up north at Pitt. If you look, so that's when C.J. Donaldson came on the scene, had over 100 yards on not enough carries, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean that's kind of when I was like, whoa,
certain
who's this
fourth
guy?
and one play.
Yeah, fourth and one play, fourth and inches. But hey, man, that's in the past. I think everybody knows the blueprint and the identity to winning this football game this week. But yeah, just continuing the identity of this football team, being able to run the football with multiple backs. Really happy to see Jaheim White out because he's been preseason All-American every time Neil Brown takes a presser.
I saw going around as well that Neil Brown, I guess, after the lightning delay or after a certain amount of time, I think Chad Scott was able to call some plays as well. So that was good to see him mix it up out there, especially being the former running backs coach, now the offensive coordinator, speaking towards that identity. Who's going to know this identity more than the running backs coach / offensive coordinator now? So that's good to know as well. But transitioning real quick to that other game, then we'll bring up our guests, and then we'll have some fun bashing Pitt here later in the episode. But actually, let's start with bashing a little bit of Pitt. Man, I don't think the score was an indication of that game. Cincinnati came out. They really beat Pitt, especially in the trenches, which is a good sign to see because our trenches, specifically our offensive line, one of our best parts of our team. And Pitt was not doing well with Cincinnati. And Pitt, this game, they're now 1-1. West Virginia's now 1-1. Hey, loser of this game goes 1-2. Winner goes 2-1. And I have a feeling that the loser of this game starts conference schedule, doesn't do as well. The winner goes in and starts their conference schedule, does well. So, man, this is, and then Jerkovich after the game, getting booed by his own fans and complaining about it. Man, he needs a lesson in dealing with the media. But dude, this obviously we can't take this game lightly, and we won't take this game lightly. This game is probably the determination of if Neil Brown's going to finish the season or not. But West Virginia, man, they can definitely. Pitt has some serious holes that we learned from Cincinnati. Cincinnati exposed them, and West Virginia has the blueprint to beat this team.
To be honest, they exposed them last year when they went to Pitt. I got the box score pulled up right now. They had 33 carries for almost 200 yards, 5.8 yards a carry. Cincinnati did the exact same thing on Saturday night. They punched Pitt right in the mouth. 42 carries, 216 yards. The star was Corey Kinner, and 20 carries for $153. Emory Jones, I mean, he's a journeyman, kind of like a bunch of guys in this league. It seems like with whether you go to Keaton Slovis out at BYU, everybody remembers him from Pitt. Jerkovich is a journey guy as well at Pitt now. You got Donovan Smith at Houston. You got journeymen everywhere. Emory Jones was just solid though, 18-26, $125, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a bad interception late that kind of got Pitt back into it. That's the blueprint for this week. And that's Garrett Green. Take care of the football, ride those horses, and duplicate what Cincinnati did. Now, Cincinnati is better than us on the defensive line, in my opinion. They got some freaking horses up front.
They got some dogs.
Still from the Fickle era. They didn't have a lot returning on the offensive side, and that's kind of what Satterfield has done a good job early of bringing that unit along. But, man, that defense still is nasty, and they controlled the line of scrimmage. I mean, Pitt wasn't really able to run the ball as well. They didn't run for over 100 yards like they usually do. Just pulling up the box score once again. I mean, 30 carries for 80 yards, and then on top of it, Jerkovich went 10 of 32. So just an all-around sloppy game for Pitt. I think they were looking ahead a little bit. Every time we talk about this game, I mean, everybody circles it, but I think that they took the old Cincinnati Bearcats a little for granted. Cincinnati's better than what people are giving them credit for, and they were preseason 13, just like I think the Mountaineers are a lot better than what the preseason polls were as well.
Oh, wow. Preseason polls being wrong. Oh, wow.
No doubt.
Preseason All-Americans being wrong. Never heard that story before, Ryan. Wow. Can you imagine that? Well, that's why they play the games, right? So, hey, this is going to be this week's already, even on Twitter, man, it started Monday morning. It's just been an avalanche of, man, some guys have been great with the Pitt jokes going back and forth. And hey, this is living in Morgantown. And since being a college student, my first backyard brawl that's in Morgantown, which is, when you think about it, the first time since 2011, is absolutely disgusting and a joke. But hey, it's finally here, and you can just feel it in the air, and you can feel it in the excitement. And just, of course, want to let everyone know out there that Ryan and I will be part of the tailgates going around the whole Blue Lot this weekend. We will have some Ryan and Rush bumper stickers, some hats as well that we'll be handing out and giving out to folks. So come see us, come say hi, come get some free gear, and hey, maybe we can all have a couple beers and start some certain chants and sing some certain songs in the parking lot that we like to do, especially that revolve around
Caroline.
Ooh, it's gonna be a good one. But let's how about, let me pull up a little, because we did yesterday, Ryan, on the Ryan and Rush show, we did kind of the history of the backyard brawl and then the top 10 West Virginia games in the backyard brawl that they did well in. So everyone go check out that episode if you get a chance. And then we also did our Behind Enemy Lines part 3 today. Brought someone on as part of the Pitt fan base. I wanted to say the Eat Shit Pitt fan base, but it just flows off the tongue so well. So everyone go check those out when you get a second. And then we'll bring up our guest here to get to know him and talk about the backyard brawl as well. So just a little history of the backyard brawl, Ryan. The first meeting was October 26, 1895. It's the 105th meeting. Unfortunately, Pitt leads the all-time series 62-40, but there is an asterisk there. I mean, they only had a majority of these home games, and I think there were 2 stretches in time, like a 10-year stretch and like another 7-year stretch where this game was always played in Pitt, which is absolutely ridiculous. What's funny is the first meeting, Pitt wasn't even Pitt. They were like Western Pennsylvania University of whatever. Who cares? We beat them 8-0. I bet it was a hell of a game. The last 10 games, West Virginia has been 6-4. And of course, the all-time series does have an asterisk as well, because as Pitt fans like to claim or unclaim or whatever with their national titles, how many have really happened after World War II. So in modern days, it's been very good for the Mountaineers. But why don't we bring on our guest, Ryan, a West Virginia native himself. Well, let's get to know him a little bit. This is good old Matt Daniels. He is the official intern, social media intern, and marketing intern of the Ryan and Rush Show, newly hired. Matt, welcome to the show. Before we get to the backyard brawl a little bit, tell everyone about yourself, what you're up to, how much you love West Virginia, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so I'm a native West Virginian. I grew up in Parkersburg. My whole family's from West Virginia. So I've been a Mountaineer fan my entire life. My entire family's Mountaineer fans. So, it was pretty easy to, buy into this lifestyle. I've been acclimated to it forever. Doing social media and marketing for the Ryan and Rush Show. I'm really excited. It's a really great opportunity to do something that I really love.
He's already well polished. Look at those responses, Ryan. Just gets right to the point.
There you go.
Why don't you show everyone what you're drinking? You're trusting the climb right now, Matt. Give everyone a little look at that.
Yeah,
where did you get it?
Trying to get a few more dogs on the roster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone do your part and get obliterated.
Now there will be plenty of that in the parking lot on Saturday. Matt, do you have, let's get right into the brawl. So obviously you're a native of West Virginia. Do you have a favorite brawl memory growing up? I mean, I know that you're on the tail end of the rivalry because we took a break from 2011 to 2012 or 2022. Right. That's a joke. I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole on why this game should be played every single year. But is there a specific memory growing up with your family that stands out, maybe a specific game?
Yeah, so that the 2009 backyard brawl is the first one that I feel like I was really into. Noah Devine's 77-yard touchdown run, that was awesome. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Johnny Dingle. He was crying after the game, and I was like, I don't know why, but then like I grew up and I realized like that was a really important moment. I think he was a senior, lost to Pitt, obviously a couple years before that. Yeah, no, that's definitely that's my favorite moment. The next year we went up to Pittsburgh and beat them by 25. I think is another one that's pretty fun to me. And also the next year, won 3 in a row. Those are all great games, but I'd say the 2009 one definitely holds a special place in my heart.
What's nuts about that 2009 game? Sorry to interrupt, Ryan, but that was at the time the most watched game like ever on ESPN2. And like every time this team plays, these teams play, it beats records. We saw it last Thursday night. I mean, hey, the reason Pitt keeps getting their attendance records is because they play West Virginia, and it's basically a West Virginia home game. So, like we said, eat shit, Pitt. Anyway, Ryan, sorry to interrupt.
No, I was gonna, because I know the chat's top it off here. Hey, get in the chat. Let us know what your favorite brawl memory is. We want to hear from you guys. We'll flash it on the screen. Talk about the games. I'll save mine for the end. We'll each talk about our favorite ones. We went through the whole rivalry. We only talked about the wins. We don't talk about the ones we lost, and especially that one. We'll never talk about that. But yeah, Matt, what are your thoughts coming off the Duquesne game? Did you get your eyes a little bit on the Pitt Panthers from a roster standpoint, system standpoint, new quarterback? I mean, what's your outtake on these Pitt Panthers heading into Saturday?
Yeah, so I watched the condensed version of the Cincinnati game, and the biggest thing that stood out to me, and you guys touched on it earlier, was that Cincinnati absolutely gashed Pitt on the ground. I think you said it was like 216 yards. I can't exactly remember what that guy's name was. He had 150 yards rushing. I mean, absolutely gashed that defense. And Phil Jerkovich as well. He was not good. I'm hoping that we can get some pressure on him, force him into some bad decisions, and it might be a pretty good night for us.
Yeah, especially Jerkovich. I mean, we brought it up earlier. I said it earlier with the whole dude, you can't be giving bulletin board material to your rival. Like, you're already complaining about your home fans and booing support. What do you think's going to happen when you come to Morgantown? I mean, absolutely.
Issue.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, hey, there'll be plenty for him here. So
yeah.
So Matt, are you actually going to the game on Saturday?
Yes, I will be at the game.
Nice. What
can't
are
miss
you?
That one.
Yeah, you can't. What are you looking forward to the most?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to the atmosphere. There have been a couple games here and there in the Neil Brown era that have been really crazy, like the Virginia Tech game in 2021 comes to mind. Aside from that, there haven't been very many sellout crowds, very many environments like this. The last one I could think of before that Virginia Tech game was probably the Oklahoma game in 2018. I'm just really excited to be back in that stadium with 63,000 people there, just being really rowdy. It's gonna be a great environment. I'm really excited.
I agree, Matt, and I know the college football landscape loves Dion right now, and they're going to go to Dion probably next week too. Mm-hmm. But game day really should be in Morgantown. I think this is an opportunity, and you mentioned it. There really haven't been that many night games during the Neil Brown era because, well, we haven't been that good. That's the problem. You want night games, you get on the national stage by being good, and I think this is going to be a reminder for the national college football audience that this is a pretty damn good place to play at. And I think this is one of the best home, most loyal fan bases. And all you got to do is put Pitt out there too. I mean, that's going to take this thing to a whole nother level. We saw it at Pitt last year. They were talking about how great the atmosphere was. Well, hell, half the stadium was Mountaineer fans. And now that, and honestly, coming back, it's going to be probably maybe 95-5, maybe 90-10. I'll give Pitt 10 because they probably will travel. But Narduzzi has already talked about it. He doesn't really he's kind of scared for the Pitt fans that are traveling down here. Just talk about you mentioned the Virginia Tech game. Is there a game other than Virginia Tech that comes off the top of your mind during the Neil Brown era that could compare to this? I can't remember a home primetime game during the Neil Brown era. The last one I honestly remember is probably Dana against Oklahoma in like 2017 or something. Is there a game that you can remember? Maybe I'm missing one.
No, as far as I know, the only like evening kickoffs we've had, I think it'd been the last three, not last year against Towson. We had like a 6:30 kickoff against Long Island, and we had the 6 o'clock kickoff last Saturday. I don't think we've had any primetime games under Neil Brown. You're right. It's just because we haven't been very good. But I mean, this isn't. I hope they realize the opportunity that they have here on Saturday. Come out and remind people that West Virginia football is awesome, and people love it, and it's really important to a lot of people. And I just hope they realize what they have at hand.
I think there's another factor as well. Is I think the fact that there's a different athletic director this year. I mean, think about it. Started with Penn State, which, I mean, that's not a shocker, 7:30 NBC. But then you have a 6 o'clock Duquesne game. I mean, I guess that you can call that similar to the Long Island game. But then knowing you have a 7:30 game this week, and then Texas Tech has already been announced for 3:30. I mean, dude, even when Ryan, it felt like even when we were here with Dana being students, I know we brought up a couple of the primetime games, but it wasn't like this. Like we're getting some solid slots on the national stage. And besides the, obviously Neil Brown, like hasn't helped with that so far, but it seems like, by the way, Ren Baker was on the Ryan and Rush show on Friday, so everyone go check out that interview. It was a really good one. But it seems like Ren Baker has come in with his understanding and his background of kind of that more Midwest, that Texas football, and being like, "Yo, we gotta get more eyes on this product, Matt." What do you think about Ren Baker so far?
I think Ren Baker definitely I think he's going to end up doing a really good job here. Like you said, he understands, what this means to a lot of people here. Every time I hear him talk as well, he's just saying the right things, and it's really easy to buy into what he's doing. Ren Baker, he's been fantastic so far. He's had a couple of tough moments as the AD already. Might have another tough decision coming up here in the next couple of months, but I've been a pretty big fan of him so far.
Yeah, no, Ren's done a great job. Transitioning back into this game, Matt, positional breakdown. What are you looking forward to matchup wise in terms of where this game is going to be won and lost? Is there a specific matchup, a specific unit versus unit that you're looking at on Saturday night when we kick it off at about 7:30? Less than 72 hours from now, by the way, everybody. So can't wait.
Yeah, so I mean, I think obviously the game is going to be won in the trenches. We got to run the football, control the clock, and all that stuff. But obviously the eyes are on the secondary. The last 2 weeks have been really poor from our defensive secondary. That's what I'm going to be looking for. I know Neil Brown said there's going to be a lot of things switched up in the secondary, and that's the biggest key because, going back and watching some of the stuff from the Duquesne game, there were guys wide open, the soft zone that we play. I'm not a fan of it, but
I don't get it either.
Yeah, I just I'm really the secondary, I think, is the key. But I mean, if we could get a good pass rush on them, because I think our front seven is really strong. If we can, rush Jurkovich, make him, force some decisions, it might help our secondary out a little bit. But I'm definitely looking for us to improve from the last 2 weeks.
I know, obviously, we take this one game at a time, backyard brawl, and it really is the one and only focus as it should be this week. However, there is a Big 12 schedule to be played after this that starts right after this. And also, this is also a reason why that all rivalry games, not just the backyard brawl, should be played on Thanksgiving weekend. You should get the chance to build off of it, not just start here and like, oh, now we got our conference schedule. But that's a whole nother road that we could go down, especially with conference realignment. But kind of speaking of the rest of the Big 12, Matt, has there been? It doesn't seem as strong so far as we thought it was going to be. This is definitely, especially if you get this one, you got Texas Tech next, who's already 0-2. They should win this weekend. But then they potentially come here off a team that West Virginia will beat Pitt. We're going to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Texas Tech here. That's another winnable game. What's been your biggest surprise in the Big 12 so far? And why do you think it's been so kind of not like as sharp as it was projected?
I'll say my biggest surprise has been Texas, and I know they were supposed to be good, and a lot of people were talking about how they were going to be good. But you see Texas go into Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday night and play the way they did. That's definitely a shocker to me. It's the old Texas would not have won in that stadium and done what they did. Aside from the rest of the Big 12, I don't really know. I mean, we've had a lot of teams struggle with their non-conference opponents. Like Oklahoma last week was struggling against SMU, and UCF, I believe, was it Boise State?
Yeah.
UCF was struggling too. I can't really say why, but I do feel like that still means that when we get into the conference slate, these teams are going to beat each other up because there does seem to be a lot of average teams in the conference, some below average for sure, but that also creates a path for us, I think, to win a few games that we maybe thought we wouldn't have at the beginning of the season. But yeah.
And I would say that I guess you could argue the top three teams have easily so far been Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. We're lucky enough we don't draw 2 out of the 3. And
right.
I think K-State, in my opinion, is still the best team. They're the defending champs. I know Texas was super impressive, and K-State has always given us troubles. Do you think a game like Pitt, getting that win, getting that momentum, can, I don't know, parlay that into some real momentum going into Big 12 play where the schedule's soft? I mean, let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. We got all 4 newcomers. Don't have Texas, K-State. We got as
Kansas,
favorable.
Don't have Kansas either.
Yeah,
Kansas looks good.
Yeah, those are arguably 3 out of the top 4 teams. I guess it would have been nice to get Iowa State, even though they always kick our tails. But I mean, we got the best schedule possible. All 4 newcomers at the tail end of the schedule, where you would think that they're going to wear down a little bit. Do you think Saturday, you get that one on Saturday, get the 2-1, get some serious momentum, can really turn this into a promising season on the back end?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, this is the biggest game we played in not quite a few years, I guess, but it's been a few years since we played a game this big. You get this win against a rival like Pitt. Yeah, I definitely think that could be a really good springboard to the rest of the season, especially the next 3 games. I mean, it's Texas Tech, TCU, and Houston, right?
Yeah.
Texas Tech, TCU, Houston. There's a bye week in between TCU and Houston too.
All can be had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
TCU
2 out of the 3 of those teams are they're really weak, and TCU doesn't look that great either. So yeah, like you said, the schedule is really soft. And if we get a huge win on Saturday, like I really think we should. Yeah, I think that the ceiling for this team rises quite a bit with a win.
Unfortunately, I don't like to bring up this situation, but you got to be fair and you got to be honest and you got to kind of talk about everything on a full scale. If West Virginia loses this weekend, do you think Neil Brown's done in that moment, like Sunday morning, it's reported on ESPN that Neil Brown's been fired by West Virginia?
I'm not sure. I mean, a lot of people in the fan base certainly would be hoping for that to happen on Sunday morning. But it's just, it's a rough situation. I think that with a loss, it for sure cements his status as, a dead man walking. I don't know if it would happen Sunday, but I think, yeah, with a loss, I don't think there's any recovering from that.
No, it's the game. It's the game we've been talking about for months and months and months. They got to find a way to get this win. It's a game they can win, they should win, and hopefully they will win. I mean, they're better than this team. I'll be completely honest. I've watched both of them, both their games, and yeah. So let's play out a scenario. West Virginia on Saturday night gets the first backyard brawl win since 2011 in front of this loyal fan base. If they do the following 3 things, give me your top 3 keys to victory, Matt.
So my first key is it's going to be the key to every game of the season. Running the ball, controlling the clock, playing possession football. Our offensive line has been really good run blocking wise, and our pass protection was really good last week too. But Our run blocking has been really strong. We should be able to create some holes. And we have a really deep running back room too. Even a guy like Jaheim White last week, 15
Yeah.
carries for 125 or something. It's a really deep running back room. You'd be able to keep guys fresh. My second key, honestly, I think letting Garrett Green loose, I think is a really big factor. We saw in the Penn State game, he didn't get many opportunities to throw the ball down the field.
No
But
screen
last week,
passes. I'm with you. No
right,
screen passes. Let him
right.
loose. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, Matt.
That's all right. But last week, those touchdown passes to Hudson Clement, they were all really good balls, right on the hands, right on the numbers. I would like to see a little bit more of that. I'd like to, establish the run game first, get them play up a little bit, and then maybe take some deep shots with Garrett Green. And my third key would just be, getting pressure on Pitt's quarterback. Hopefully forcing him into mistakes, trying to take that pressure off of our secondary a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely make Pitt beat you. And West Virginia, as Ryan, you were saying, is the better team here.
Yeah.
Like there's no, and I get it. Rivalries, throw out records, throw out everything. It is a rivalry, but we are a better team. So you do the things right, Matt. You said it perfectly with your 3 keys to victory, and make Pitt beat you. And my guess is they commit the first of hopefully many mistakes. And West Virginia, as some people are saying in the chat, wins. I saw one 40-27. Man, that would be great. West Virginia
That'd be awesome.
40 points on Pitt. All right. Most important question of all. When West Virginia wins on Saturday night, over under for couches being burned.
I'll set the line. I'll set the line at 25.
Ooh,
it might 25. Be a low line. Are we talking just in Morgantown?
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah. Do Morgantown.
Yeah, we'll do Morgantown. If 25 couches are being burned, the city just might burn to the ground at that point. They're going to have one couch like burn into another.
25.
We do encourage, by the way.
Right. 25 might have been too high of a line, I think, but there's definitely going to be some couches being burned. High Street would definitely be a great scene. The people, we're starving for something big with this football program, and this win on Saturday would be huge for just perception of the program. A lot of people are going to be watching that game. I don't know what the other primetime slots are, but and also just the happiness of the fan base. It would do quite a lot.
Completely agree. This would be the biggest win since, and it's not just because it gets us to 2-1. It's who you beat. It's a scenario, the Neil Brown era, getting a little bit of positive momentum headed into Big 12 play. Biggest in prime time in front of the national audience. Biggest win, in your opinion, Matt Daniels, since when? You got to think back away, man. I thought about this earlier today.
I got mine.
So
Texas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Texas. Will Greer game is mine.
Pretty easily Texas. I would say the second in line would be the Virginia Tech game in 2021, because we came off of that COVID year in 2020, and there were some expectations for us. And we win that game against Virginia Tech, who was top 15, I think, something like that. They were around there. We won that game, and things seemed like they were really starting to get rolling. And unfortunately, it didn't really turn out that way. But yeah, definitely the biggest win since Texas in 2018.
All right, so Matt, you're saying the Daggy Kendall win over Army and the Liberty Bowl didn't do it for you? It didn't get you going during the COVID year?
Look, I enjoyed the win. I enjoy all the wins, but it didn't really it wasn't moving me too much, because we should have handled them probably a lot more than we did. It took Austin Kendall coming in that game in the second half to be the hero and win the Liberty Bowl for us. So
I think the Virginia Tech game comparison is a good one, Rush and Matt, because Virginia Tech was, although they weren't good that year, at the time they were 2-0. They had just beat Sam Howell in North Carolina, and they came in, and I remember that fan base that day. That fan base was off the charts, ready to go. And I said it was an old school crowd. It's gonna be that on steroids on Saturday night. So I agree with that. But in terms of actually having an impact on a season, that in a positive way, I would say the Texas game. But yeah, I really like the Virginia Tech comparison 2 years ago, because Neil's back was against the wall that week as well. Go ahead, Rush.
Well, yeah. Well, the
because we lost to
comparison.
Maryland.
Yes. Well, that was such a
That was a
bad
horrible
loss. Oh, you
loss.
had to bring that up and remind.
Yeah.
But yeah, but why it's another comparison again with Virginia Tech is when we played them, Ryan, we were at that game at FedEx Field, the one that this ball bounced off Stills, should have gone to, I think, double overtime. That was a tough game. And then you were able to bounce back, and we beat them twice in a row since then. And then obviously with us should have beating Pitt last year, and now we got him again this year. Like it's that chance at redemption. It's that chance of, hey, we are the better team. Let's get him at home. Let's get him where it hurts. So, hey, I can't believe it's here. I feel like we've been talking about this game since the end of last year's game, week 1.
Can I say something?
You can say whatever you want.
I mean, so there's a shop in downtown Parkersburg. And this is kind of just a testament to how much this game means to people. There was a shop in downtown Parkersburg when this game got announced. I think it was 2015. Like right after that, there was a sign in the window that said "Beat Pitt in 23."
Beat Pitt in 23.
8 years before that.
Yeah, no, I mean it's
everything.
I mean, like you said, Virginia Tech, that's a rival. This is a whole nother level. And the way that we lost, Russ, you mentioned it. That was a game we should have won. I mean, had the ball up 7 minutes to go, 4th and inches. You're running the ball. We talked about it. You're averaging 6 yards of carry, and you don't run the ball. You punt, which I thought was beyond soft. And then they go on to lose the game on a fluke pick six, and then go all the way back down at the end and just come up short. JT Daniels played really well that night. But yeah, this is a revenge, total revenge for a decade. Pitt left, man. Pitt left to go to the ACC, and we talked about how much that 2011 game meant because they were able to come back from 10-0 and kind of get things going so that they could beat South Florida in the final week, and then beat beat Clemson, the other Orange team, in the Orange Bowl. That really set them up to go to the Big 12. West Virginia was in limbo the last time they beat Pitt. Mm-hmm. Pitt was on the way out. Syracuse was on the way out. West Virginia was in no man's land, and obviously things worked out. Kind of Pitt may be in limbo here soon. We'll talk about that at another time. But, man, the last time we beat them, man, it's special every time you beat these guys.
It really is. It's and that's why it's like I can't believe that we just never saw it when we went to school here, Ryan. And like we've lived here now a couple years, and it's like finally get to see it in like our own backyard. No pun intended. But it's funny. You brought up a word, and I disagree, Ryan, with the word you brought up. I do agree that obviously there is a revenge angle, but this isn't revenge. This is hatred, man. This is two teams that hate one another, that are an hour and 15 minutes away. And what's crazy about this too, I don't know how often you see this. Maybe you see it a lot more often than people think. I just think this scenario is different because West Virginia is a different state than Pennsylvania, obviously Pittsburgh being in Pennsylvania, but like the West Virginia, those that cheer for professional sports are usually Pirates fans and Steelers fans. So they have like both teams agree on a professional sports team still divided by a state border. But then it comes to this game and it's different, man. And we're about to see, especially right here. It's Wednesday night. Tomorrow's Thursday. We're going to start seeing the RVs coming into Morgantown. And then Friday, you're not even going to be able to go down the road because it's going to be so packed. And oh man, when we see that, I guess the big debate is who owns what colors and what order. But when we see Pitt's blue and gold, I guess, Pitt's blue and gold. Oh man, I hate it. I hate it. I hate those colors. We're going to see them, man. And it's just going to be like, can't stand it. Terrible.
Honest. Yeah.
Bunch of prima donnas.
Matt,
absolutely.
Matt, before you get out of here, we'll let you go and have your evening. Who do you got winning the Big 12?
Honestly, before the season, I had Oklahoma. I just thought that Brent Venables, he's going to end up being something really special. I think I thought he was going to, like last year was a mulligan. I guess Nick Saban, I don't know what he won in his first season in Alabama. It was like 7-5 or something. you can't pick against Texas now. Like,
sure you can.
That's yeah.
That's
I
when
don't,
you pick against Texas, when you say the exact thing.
That's true. I don't want to bet again. I don't want to bet on Texas, but it's just, and maybe Alabama's not as good as we thought, but for them to, like I said earlier, for them to go into Bryant Denny and just dominate the way that they did, it's going to be really hard for them to not win the conference. But again, it is Texas. You know, they might choke like they always do, but I just don't see anybody beating them in this conference. And they might drop a game, but
I kind of see it as a win-win. Like, I'm trying to put a positive spin on Texas because of obviously we hate that school as well, but it's, hey, if they lose, good. Keep losing in the SEC. Screw you guys. If they win,
right.
Hey, you won your last year in the Big 12 and West Virginia profits off it monetarily. So
Hey, everybody keeps sleeping on that school in Manhattan, man.
That is true.
They just keep winning. Nobody talks about them, and they business per usual. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I hope it's not what you said, Texas, Oklahoma. I hope it's somebody else. I hope Texas and Oklahoma fall apart, and it will be interesting though, because they're about to transition now into the part that's going to be hostile, and that's going to be the final trips going to the Wacos, the Lubbocks, the Fort Worths, the rivalries, Houston, that those two schools blocked Houston from getting into the Big 12. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this Big 12 shakes up after this weekend. But of course, beating Pitt is all I care about for this weekend.
Right.
Yeah, they have targets on their backs now. When they said the Big 12 and when you're everyone else's Super Bowl, I know there's that joke tweet that always goes around. Can't stand these fans because it was theirs too, whatever. But it's they still struggle. And I disagree with you a little bit, Matt. I mean, obviously time will tell. I am still not sold on Venables. I think he's a defensive coordinator, and I think he's a fantastic defensive coordinator. Obviously, he's a national championship winning defensive coordinator, but I think that's all he is I am not sold at him at Oklahoma, but could be wrong. Could eat my words, but hey, well, like you said, time will tell there. But Matt,
we won't have to see it though.
Yeah. So hopefully. But I think, I mean, even if they don't do well in the Big 12 with the target on their back, I mean, I think he could be on the hot seat real quick here, because I mean, we just saw what happened with Aranda at Baylor. I mean, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, like even if he has an okay year, like he should be all right. Maybe his seat will get warm next year." But hey, that you could lose to I guess they're not going to lose to like a Texas State this far in the season, but you get a loss like that, and man, it's these fans get angry real quick. So. Which we're starting to lose our patience with Neil Brown as well. But I digress. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. Let everyone know where they can find you. Where are you on Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff?
My Twitter and Instagram are both just Matthew Daniels, and just add another I in there. So Matthew Daniels with 2 I's. You'll find me on Twitter and Instagram that way.
Love it, man. Thank you for all the work you do. You do a lot of great stuff for the Ryan and Rush show. We know you'll be tailgating as well.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you soon, brother. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yes, sir. Man. Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I had a lot of fun tonight.
Oh yeah.
See you, Matt.
Many more to come, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
See you, Matt.
Oh, still stuck in side mode. There we go. Right.
There we go.
Hey, that was great. It's great having Matt on. Very insightful. Obviously, great to have a native West Virginian on from Parkersburg. Parkersburg, a great area in West Virginia, right? It shares a border with Ohio. But man, he said it best 8 years ago when they announced the schedule, Ryan, and the beat Pitt in 23 already comes up on the board like an election sign, but 8 years ahead instead of 8 months of an election. Dude, this is everything, man. We finally made it to this point, and it's, we went into the Big 12. We talked about the schedule. West Virginia has the cards they need to have a successful season. Neil Brown has the cards he needs to continue on his legacy here in West Virginia. And obviously, if he continues here, that means we do well. And as West Virginia fans, we want to do well. But it literally all comes down to one game. And about in less than 72 hours here, we'll know what side of things Neil Brown and these West Virginia Mountaineers are on.
Yeah, no, completely agree. This is the swing game for the stadium or for the season. Russ, real quick before we get out of here, Why don't we whip around the Big 12?
Let's do it.
Because this is kind of a more quiet week compared to last week. Last week was freaking crazy. Is there a game that's popping your mind here headed into week 3? I mean, would you say TCU Houston because it is the Big 12 opener, I guess, for Houston?
Well, I mean, it's the Big 12 teams playing each other opener, and which probably tells me that this was scheduled as non-con. No, that is a huge game. And I actually like Houston to potentially win that game. I think we're going to see in that game as well of what TCU's made of, and see actually, do they have a weak defense like it showed against Colorado? Maybe Colorado is just really, really good. But I like to think that TCU's got to be a little better than what they showed in that first game. Another game, and a lot of people, quick side note, a lot of people are saying that the games this week are weak, at least not in the Big 12. I don't think this is a bad schedule at all. Another game, watch out for that BYU Arkansas game. BYU is going to try to make their stamp in the Big 12. They're at Arkansas. They got crushed by Arkansas last year in Provo. BYU's coming off the wins against Southern Utah and Sam Houston State. Defense looks pretty good. Someone that we're not too fond of, Keaton Slovis, hasn't really shown if he's capable of being that next quarterback. Because don't forget, BYU's had 2 quarterbacks in a row make the NFL, and Jaron Hall and obviously Zach Wilson, who found himself to be a starter again after the Monday night incident in New York. But hey, that BYU can make a statement saying, hey, we're ready for the Big 12. We'll go down, beat Sam Pittman in Arkansas, and show, hey, Big 12, we're here, because they have Kansas next. They're at Kansas next. And that's a tough way to start. Who thought we'd ever get to the point where, hey, being at Kansas is a tough way to start your Big 12 career? I mean, man, what a great job Leipold's done to that program.
Well, let's get right in the chat. Cinnamon Sin 06 says, Oklahoma fans, this is just not true. That SMU is one of the best offenses they'll face. Kansas, K-State, man, people got to stop sleeping on those schools. I will say, I am a little worried for K-State this weekend. That line keeps dropping down to 3.5 some spaces. Maybe there's some injuries for K-State coming off that Troy win before they go into Big 12 play. Iowa State's got a tricky spot as well in Athens, Ohio. Yes. That place will be rocking before they get into Big 12 play, coming off the Cy-Hawk Bowl. I guess if you're looking for Oklahoma State, man, that's a tricky spot as well with the Jaguars from South Alabama that's got all those starters back. And I guess if you really want an outside the box upset special that could happen, Cincinnati's got to be careful. They got those Oklahoma Sooners on deck. Don't sleep on Miami of Ohio with Blaine Gabbard's little brother coming off the Pitt win, sandwich spot in between Pitt, Oklahoma. You got Miami of Ohio. You got to take care of business. Those are just some of the spots. What do you think of this Wyoming-Texas game, Rush?
I think it's because the game's in Austin and Wyoming. They played their Super Bowl week 1 at Texas Tech. I think people are going to have kind of recency bias with this game and are going to think that Wyoming has a chance. I mean, I guess they technically have a chance. I'm not thinking too highly on Wyoming here. Maybe if this was at Wyoming in Laramie at 7,000 feet, it'd be another discussion. But I think Wyoming already played their Super Bowl. Could keep it close. I know the spread's around 28.5. It's a lot of points, but hey, if Texas coming off that Alabama, that they're coming off their Super Bowl as well. So at least in terms of the spread, I could see this being one of those close first half games where Texas maybe comes out a little lackadaisical, but then goes in halftime, comes out and ends up turning it on in the second half. And hey, something too I wanted to mention with that Oklahoma comment as well. Oklahoma, they're talking about the best. SMU's the best, one of the best offenses. Yeah, SMU's not too bad. Obviously, they have, what did we say? It was other than Texas, Kansas State. They also, UCF's offense isn't bad either. Plumlee,
they're good.
I know they were in a little bit of a dogfight in Boise, but that was kind of to be expected. Week 2, you're going all the way to the blue turf up at Idaho. I mean, that's a tough place to play. And obviously,
you could score.
Yeah. It's Chandler Morris is an interesting. We need definitely a bigger sample size on him. It is actually crazy when you look back at last year with TCU that Duggan was the backup, and now he's an NFL quarterback and had an unbelievable season. It really just shows you that college football is just, that's why I like it more than the NFL, Ryan, is it maybe they're technically not amateurs anymore because of NIL, but you still have the amateur factor. I mean, we're talking 18 to 22, 23-year-olds, I guess, maybe with COVID years and stuff, maybe, and Mormon missionaries. We're talking a couple more years there, but I mean, still the amateur factor of it is you just never know who could break out at other time. I mean, we started off to go full circle here, this episode with Hudson Clement. I mean, and hey, we need him again this weekend. So, but hey, the Big 12 is in a position where they need to kind of show up again this weekend to really redeem themselves. Well, I guess even from last week too, with Houston losing, Texas Tech losing again, Baylor losing again. I mean, those schools really need to come back again this week, especially the last week of the non-con for the Big 12. And then obviously you want to start the Big 12 schedule off right, but shifting this around to West Virginia, with it being a weaker Big 12, man, what it seems like the start is, hey, we keep coming back to this one thing, get this one, and everything will fall into place for the Mountaineers, Ryan. So got to get this one.
Yeah,
have to.
And I think we're in agreement. They are going to get this one. Rest of the schedule this week. Tomorrow on the Ryan and Rush show, we're going to give out our keys to victory and final predictions, 5:00. So yeah, come join us over there. Timothy in the chat. Let's go Mountaineers. Let's go,
Timothy.
Baby.
Give a shout out to Timothy. He's on every live. He's on everything with us. Hey, we got a couple fans like that. Tim, you're the man. I hope to see you in the Blue Lock. Come up to us if you are. Appreciate all your support, man. Appreciate all your supports. Again, subscribe to the Ryan and Rush show if you get the chance. Kenny's another one who you just lit up.
Yeah,
great guy. Always supporting. Of course, follow this channel as well. Part of the Voice of College Football, West Virginia Mountaineers Live, West Virginia style. Don't forget the Ryan and Rush show. We do this Wednesday night show at 8:00. Wednesdays at 8:00. The Wolfman himself does these 4:00 live on the other days and does the post game as well. We've had the Wolfman on the Ryan and Rush show. He was a little more intense on this West Virginia fan team, but he's great. He's the best. But Ryan, we did start this episode specifically you stating you bring up, I guess, historically your favorite backyard brawl.
Yeah,
and we want to hear in the chat your favorite backyard brawl, or hey, we see a lot of non-West Virginia fans on here as well. We appreciate your support. We know we're being streamed across a couple channels. Hey, if you got a favorite rivalry for your team, throw it in the chat as well. But of course, we want to hear from those West Virginia fans. But Ryan, lead it off with your favorite memory, history. What is your favorite backyard brawl moment?
So I'm like I said, I'm more. I guess on the younger side, I guess, compared to the rest of the fan base. And mine's 2011, man. I was a freshman at West Virginia in 2012, so unfortunately I missed the brawl altogether. But 2011, I was at the game. I was set to come here the next year, and like I said, we fell down 10-0. We were in limbo. We were in the Big East at the time, but it was a game that kind of prolonged us. We had to win that game. Then we had to get some help. Cincinnati Rutgers had to lose the next week. Then we had to beat South Florida just for the opportunity to keep scoring on Clemson. A game that we won 70-33, where the whole world picked against us. Really put us on the national stage with Geno Smith, Tavon Austin, Stedman Bailey, all those guys. Bruce Irvin with the sack to win it against Pitt. 2011 for me, I know it's more recent memory, and I'm sure the older West Virginia fans got the memories of 75 and in the other years, 65, 03, 06. I mean, so many good memories, but that's the one that still stands out to me, 2011 until Saturday night. Yeah.
What do they say? The next one, my favorite memory is Saturday night, but I'll say for mine was obviously it's not a memory. Maybe I was watching from somewhere else above. I wasn't a gleam in my dad's eye yet. But two guests of the Ryan and Rush show, Coach Don Nealon himself and Jeff Hostetler, his son-in-law, talked about this game and gave great memories. Don's first win as a Mountaineer. Jeff coming 90 yards the last 2 minutes to beat Pitt in 1983. Don gets his first win against Pitt. Really one of the games that helped 82, that Oklahoma game, helped put West Virginia really back on the map. And then this game as well really solidified West Virginia and really got Don's amazing 20-year career going there in those first couple of years in 83. For me, that's especially obviously because we've met him, Ryan, and they were on the show, and obviously they mean so much to Mountaineer Nation. But that 83 game is the one I'm choosing till we see him win on Saturday.
I like it. Yeah, no, I love Hostetler, love Don Neyland. So solid choice for me until Saturday night. But yeah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to recap our win next week and preview the Texas Tech Red Raiders next week.
That'll be a good one. Maybe we'll get a special guest on for that as well. So anyway, Hey, we love you all. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Go over to the Ryan and Rush Show, subscribe as well. The Ryan and Rush Show is live every Monday through Thursday at 5:00, right after the Wolf Band, who starts at 4:00 on this channel. So you can always switch on over. Come find us there. We've started our Backyard Brawl series this week, so go check out those ones. And we'll be back with the Ryan and Rush Show tomorrow. And hey, then it's showtime. Then it's game time. Let's go, guys. Let's beat Pitt. Have a good one, everyone.
Beat Pitt and let's go Mountaineers.
Go Mountaineers. Talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your night.